Well, you're live now, Mr. Chair.
So Darren, do you want to welcome everyone?
Sure, I can do that, Chris. Thanks. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the SWIFT open house that we're hosting tonight. Speaking for myself as the warden of Dufferin County and the vice chair of the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus, I can tell you I am super excited to see things moving forward with regards to SWIFT in Dufferin County, but as the representative of the Western Wardens all across southwestern Ontario. This is a big deal. It really, really is. And I'm excited that we're finally at this point. I've been advocating for this plan now for going on 7 years, and it's finally great to see results about to come to the fore. This will make a big difference in Dufferin County with regards to a number of things, not the least of which is economic development and some of our smaller businesses based outside of our larger centers. It is going to make a big, big difference. Just to touch on what we're currently doing at the Western Wardens Caucus, very briefly before I turn it back to Chris Garrett, is we're currently, now that SWIFT 1, I guess is what we're sort of calling it, is well underway. We are currently advocating for funding for SWIFT 2.0, which is further build out of what we're creating, what we're putting in the ground right now. Just this week, through one of our municipal conferences, myself and a number of my colleagues have been meeting with a number of provincial ministers, including Minister McNaughton yesterday, Minister Fedeli this morning, Minister Clark, Thompson, the Speaker of the House, and a number of others on Sunday, and as well as Minister Monsef today earlier. So we are asking only for our fair share, but our fair share, and I see Barry smiling there. This is a very big key to us. We're asking for our fair share of funding across the country because we represent a substantial portion, almost 10%, or a little bit more than 10% of the population of the entire country is represented by the Southwest or the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus. So we'll continue to do that. Anyone on this call tonight, if you speak with your members of parliament or your members of provincial parliament, advocate for that funding, make sure that gets going, and make sure we can finish SWIFT 2.0 and get as many people as connected as possible. So again, welcome and thank you for joining. I'll turn it back over to our chair of the meeting tonight, Chris Garrett. Chris.
Thanks, Warden White. I'm Chris Garrett, Councillor for Dufferin County and the representative on the SWIFT Board of Directors. We've got a pretty tight schedule tonight, so I'm not going to take up too much time. Just a couple notes. The session is only addressing questions regarding the 5 approved SWIFT projects. And when we get to question and answers, please type your questions into the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. We'll attempt to answer as many of them as possible. First off, I'd like to introduce Barry Field, Executive Director from SWIFT. He's just going to give a quick overview of the project. So Barry, over to you.
Thanks, Chris. My name is Barry Field. I'm the Executive Director of SWIFT. I just want to give a bit of a background on the project itself and a little bit of a summary of the evaluation cycle we go through and what we're looking for in the proposals we receive. So, SWIFT has been working on Dufferin County for a while now. We issued the RFP for Dufferin in March of last year. It closed in May of 2020, so it was open for a few months. Contracts were signed with the 5 successful ISPs between August and September of last year. There was a bit of a delay between May and August when we started signing contracts as we were waiting for the contribution agreement with the province to be executed. So until that happened, we couldn't execute any contracts with the ISPs, but that happened in August and we went directly to executing those contracts. The RFP itself, we had about $4.8 million worth of SWIFT funding available through the process. I was happy to see that Dufferin County stepped up with an additional 1.25 million, I believe it was. to make sure one of the remaining projects was funded. The ISPs themselves brought about $4.4 million to the table. And the result of all of that is we've got a project of about $10.4, $10.5 million between the 5 sub-projects. The evaluation of the proposals, really what we're looking for are the proposals that can deliver the most premises with the least amount of funding asked. It's a little more complicated than that, but at the end of the day, that's really what we're looking for is more premises for fewer dollars asked. It's a very competitive process and it's non-prescriptive. And what I mean by that is we don't tell the ISPs where to build. We tell them where they can't build. They can't build in areas that already have service, already have access to 50/10 service, so 50 megabits of download speed and 10 of upload speed. They're free to bid anywhere else, though, throughout the municipality. The result, of course, was that we awarded 5 projects, one to Bell, one to Rogers, one to Cogeco, one to NFC, and one to ATEL, all of whom are represented on this call this evening. And the minimum requirement for the ISPs to contribute to the projects was 1/3 of the eligible costs. Now, if you look at the numbers I talked about before, they actually contributed a little more than that. They contributed a total of 42% towards the eligible costs. So they went above and beyond what was the minimum expectation through the competitive nature of the process. That's exactly what we had hoped to happen. Construction of the projects will occur mainly in 2021, with some of the projects wrapping up early in 2022. I think you'll hear from the ISPs, the 5 of them anyway, that typically they try to turn up customers as soon as possible. They want to get you in service as soon as possible. They don't necessarily wait until the project is 100% complete and then start turning up customers. So you will see pockets of customers coming online as they go through the construction. It's not always possible that way, but generally that's the way it works. The SWIFT program itself, it was designed to target about 50,000 premises throughout southwestern Ontario. That's about 22% of the underserved population. So the program, the funding we have in place from the federal, provincial, and municipal governments right now doesn't allow us to solve the problem for 100% of the people. Our goal for this phase of the project is to solve 22% of those that are currently considered underserved. In Dufferin County, we actually hit 21.7%. So we were pretty close to that 22%. It was a pretty average procurement in that manner. I acknowledge that this still leaves about 78% of the premises underserved or not served by the SWIFT project. There are other programs and other funding mechanisms that are trying to address that remaining gap. So there's the Federal Universal Broadband Fund. There's the Provincial ICON program. UBF, by the way, or Universal Broadband Fund, is a $1.75 billion fund for all of Canada. The ICON program is a provincially run program by the Ministry of Infrastructure. It's a $300 million program right now. The CRTC Broadband Fund is a $750 million federal program run by, of course, the CRTC. And then, as Warden White alluded to earlier, SWIFT continues to apply for more funding through the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus to the federal and the provincial governments. So we continue to look for more money to help solve the problem. Again, I acknowledge that, for every one household that we solve the problem for, there are 4 that we didn't solve the problem for. We're working on that through our federal and provincial partnerships. We're working to try to close that gap off as much as possible. If you're looking for information on the projects, I encourage you to go to the SWIFT website. Hopefully that can be sent out later on or publicized. It showcases the service map, and it has a list of all of the approved projects, the value of them, how many premises will be served. And we try to keep up to date as possible the schedule for completion in there as well.
Thanks, Barry. Carissa has the website in the chat window, and just going to remind you to wrap it up because I'm on a strict schedule here.
Perfect. My last point, again, for those people who didn't get served, we encourage you to go and talk to your federal and provincial politicians, your MPs, your MPPs. There's more funding out there. The problem isn't solved yet. So, just remind them that there's still work to be done here. Now I'm done, Chris.
Thanks, Barry. Sorry, I got to be the heavy on this call because we have a lot
worries.
of important information coming up. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce to discuss the Mansfield project from Bell. We have Jeff Tarrant and possibly Scott Moon. I'm not sure if he's here, if it's just Jeff, but I will pass it over to Bell now.
Thanks, Chris. And yeah, first let me just say thank you to Dufferin County and the councillors and really everyone that's been involved to get this open house organized. It's a great opportunity for me and for Bell and to come out, and all the ISPs really to come out and talk to the residents of Mansfield about the projects. We're super excited to be working and partnering with SWIFT on this project and some others, and bringing in specifically to Mansfield fiber to a little over 300 homes and businesses. So again, as you said, or just a quick introduction, my name is Jeff Tarrant. I'm one of the senior network planners at Bell, and I'm overseeing basically the entire SWIFT rollout for Bell. For Mansfield, talking about the project timelines, I'm assuming I'm not on the chat or in the video, so I think my slide should be showing. So I'll just assume it is. So talking about the project timelines, we did kick off in September of last year. We've got our design completed in 2020, and we actually commenced the construction phase this month. So it's in its infancy, in fairness, and residents will see it ramping up as time goes on and as we get into the prime construction months. It is scheduled construction to end at the end of this year, so December 31st of 2021. Kind of as Barry alluded, we'll be looking to offer service or notify residents that service is available as quickly as possible, but construction is scheduled at this point for the entire project to end at the end of this year. After that, we'll be doing some, testing and validations or qualifications, making sure our tools will recognize the addresses and orders can proceed. And that the project wraps up first quarter of next year, 2022. In terms of what to expect during construction, every effort is made to minimize disruption, of course, and we don't want to come in like a tornado through the region. So we will make every effort to minimize disruption, but it is important to realize and recognize it is construction. So certain things can be expected, such as Bell and Bell contractor vehicles and crews working around the area. You may see a crew, on pole lines running new fiber line. They may be excavating and digging or doing buried fiber lines. It could be pylons on the road if required to just keep the crews safe, depending on the distance and how much room is on the shoulder. So residents can expect to see some activity from that regard. In and around your neighborhoods, there could be some excavation happening on the boulevards. We do need to bring fiber into your home or onto your property. We do have techniques and methods of doing that with as little disruption as possible and little disturbance as possible. However, our mandate is to return and restore properties to the original condition. So hopefully by the end of it, our goal is that you will never know we were there, other than now you have this fantastic fast service available to you. So continuing on the slides into the getting connected area, how will residents know, when it's time to connect? We'll actually have, as construction is wrapping up, we'll have crews come by. They do a door knocking campaign, maybe a pamphlet on your doorknob. I did mention it's COVID compliant. Hopefully a year from now, we're not in the same situation we are right now, and that might change. But in any event, safety first for all involved, and we'll follow whatever restrictions or necessary means are needed. The door knocking will, advise customers, hey, we're wrapping up, or service is available or will be available in the coming weeks, and kind of, advising customers what steps they need to take to get connected. Of course, alternatively, bell.ca is available, and you can check your address on bell.ca. I would expect, again, probably, service should be available, for argument's sake, a year at the time next year, so early January. next year, I think everyone would be able to start getting connected. Moving over to the right-hand side of the slide, services delivered. So what are we doing? What are we bringing to your home? It is our fiber technology, or fiber to the home, or FTTH. You may also hear FTTP, fiber to the premises, same difference. It is offering, or we will be able to offer our highest internet package at 1.5 gigabit per second. So just for reference purposes, when you're getting into the gigabits, that's 1,000 meg, so that's 1,500 megabit. You might be more familiar with the 10 meg or 50 meg sort of terminology. That's 1,500 megabits. Additionally, of course, you'll have access and availability of our Bell 5 TV service and all the features that offers, as well as Bell Home Phone. Bundling capabilities with the various services will be available, and not mentioned on the slide, but sort of goes hand in hand, would be a Bell Mobility. If you're a mobility customer, additional bundling opportunities, home security, etc., can all be subscribed to. Moving into the pricing plans, one key thing to note is pricing is standard, throughout the province. And it's really based on the package that you're subscribed to. So the same price and service that our downtown core customers are getting are the same price and service that the Mansfield residents will be getting. I've shown two examples on the slide, just to kind of show the two different ends of the spectrum that are available. The 550, which is a 50 megabit download, 10 megabit upload, unlimited usage, is currently priced at the $84.95 per month. That would be sort of, I'll say, an entry level, or the kind of at the low end of what's available, all the way up to, again, the Gigabit 5 1.5. The 1.5 gigabit download, 940 meg upload, so almost a meg upload. Again, unlimited usage, currently priced at $129.95 per month. Each package, or any package, has the one-time installation fee of $59.95. Again, those are the sort of the opposite bookends of the package available. In between that, we also have a 150 meg service, a 500 meg service, a 1 gig service, various price points, hopefully to satisfy your needs and your individual household usage requirements. So with that, I did note my contact information. As I said, I'm sort of leading the SWIFT rollout for Bell and the various areas that we were successful in partnering and being awarded. So please, if there's any questions or concerns during the life of the project, you reach out. I'll do my best to respond as quickly as possible and address anything that may come up. So I'll hand it back, Chris, and open it up to any questions.
Did we lose Chris, I wonder?
I was worried I got lost for a minute.
We're used to this up in our area, so thus the,
oh, darn.
I think Chris is frozen. So I will, that being said, Carissa, do you want to let me know where we're going next? And we'll wait for Chris to get back in.
For sure. I'll just maybe give one more second if anyone does have any questions in regards to the Bell project. Just while we have Jeff on the line.
All right, Carissa.
That would be great.
There
is one there.
One question, specifically, will the area around Mansfield Ski Club be covered?
Yes. Yes, so just give me one sec. In and around. So is that around Big Tree Circle, Cook Crescent, Side Road 17, all going to be covered. I see Pine River Crescent. I think that's the area in question.
Yeah, I think for there's another question that just popped up here as well that says, will the Mulmer region be covered? And the best, I think, response to that, and Barry, feel free to pop in here as well, is to take a look at that link that I posted in the chat of the service map. And it really clearly identifies where all of the fiber will be installed throughout Momer, because there are two projects that do kind of dabble into Momer, this Bell project and the ATEL project. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Chris. I'm back now, so wouldn't be a conversation about rural internet without the moderator getting booted. And
That's right.
Feels my pain from our county council meetings, but I apologize for that. I am not serviced by any of the ISPs on this call, just for the record. So I apologize for that. So let's see. We've got some additional questions here. That one's about Mono, so I'm going to pass that. This current one, does fiber require any wiring inside the home, or does it run existing wiring?
It will run on existing. So the fiber will be brought into the house and terminated on a CPE device or a router, and then like plug in from there. You can run Ethernet lines, or I personally use Wi-Fi. I've got 5 kids in the house right now, all doing their schooling from home. A teacher wife teaching classes. I'm working, so we're all on Wi-Fi, and it's really smooth and really good.
Okay, great. Do we have any other? I don't see any other open questions there. And I assume while I was kicked off, the question was answered about the rollout for the Mansfield Ski Club area. Rollout schedule.
Yes, Jeff did go through the rollout schedule for the project.
And we have another question about whether or not the fiber line will be buried.
To your property line, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so buried to the
house,
property line.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We're not seeing any more questions. So Jeff, follow up to that question is, will the line be buried in January or later in the year?
It'll be buried actually earlier in the year. So construction will end, well, it's starting now, January now, and it'll kind of proceed until December. So it'll probably get buried by that time, likely in the fall. And then by the time January comes around, service will be ready for you. It's a matter of a technician coming in and connecting the router.
Okay, I've got another question here, and it's specific to their property. I don't know if it's an efficient use of time to answer property specific connection timeline questions here. So would it be fair, Jeff, to say that they can contact you via that contact information for more specifics on that?
100%.
Okay, thanks. Just wait here. We got 1 more minute if there's any more questions, otherwise I will move on. I'm not seeing any. So at this point, thanks, Jeff. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to move on now to the Laurel and Camilla project overview with North Nactone. We've got Grant Ruffley and Scott Nielsen. So I will turn it over to you guys.
Thanks very much, Chris. I'm going to try and share screen. I'm having a few connectivity issues as well. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, I may get Chris to pull up the slideshow, but we'll see if we can get through this. Please let me know if the video starts to break up. So yeah, I'll try not to repeat some of the items that Jeff covered in a fairly thorough discussion around the the construction of these projects. But a little introduction. North Frontenac Telephone Company has a history back to the 1950s. Was established as a small independent telephone company serving an area about 20 square kilometers north of the Kingston area in Ontario. In the last 5 years, we've been expanding fiber optic networks into various parts of rural Ontario communities, and currently have over 25 networks now serving smaller Ontario communities. They're all pure fiber optic networks, and offer services including ultra high speed internet, gigabit speeds and above. Lots of opportunities for bundles for telecommunication services, TV, security, home monitoring, and all the types of things that you can leverage with high-speed internet. We're proud to have the opportunity to participate in the Dufferin County projects with SWIFT. This is our second project. This is just a quick snapshot of some of the communities across the Ontario footprint that we have. The Dufferin project runs just generally from what I would say is the northwest corner of Orangeville up towards the south end of Shelburne, principally running on the Mono Amaranth side road, and trying to pick up as much of the community areas as we can, including Farmington, Laurel, and residents along the way. The project itself represents about 41, almost 42 kilometers of fiber to be installed, and will pass 460 subscribers. The design is well underway, and we're just nearing completion and verifying some existing infrastructure, with a planned construction start of April 15th. And if the weather behaves itself, the crews are ready to start that sooner than April 15th, weather permitting. The project is scheduled for completion February 28th of 2022. And it is our intent, as Barry highlighted, to bring customers on as the network is lit, feeding out from the CO. So if there's sections that we have the fiber fused in and connectivity available, our sales personnel will be reaching out in a door-to-door campaign, similar to what Jeff talked about, obviously compliant with whatever the current standards for COVID safety are, but to notify the residents of the area that the service is going to become available, and allow them to start to arrange to schedule for their drop fibers to be installed to their homes. If there's specific questions around the project or service availability timing, we'd encourage people to reach out to our customer service, our central customer service line. Our customer service personnel are aware of our SWIFT projects and will collect the information for the individual that's looking for updates, and forward them to our regional sales manager, Scott Nielsen, who's also on this call. They can also reach out via our sales email or via our website and collect updates through any of those portals. From an overview, the services that NFTC will be offering via this fiber network will be very similar to what Jeff highlighted, so I won't go through a detailed list of the types of speeds, but you can get up to a gigabit and beyond. And there are starter entry-level packages, which are more at the low end of the 5010 service threshold that SWIFT mandated as a minimum requirement for a network. The sales personnel will be able to provide much more detailed information in terms of internet, as well as the other types of services that can be bundled through customers' fiber connection. From a point of view of construction, again, Jeff did a good job of highlighting the type of construction activity that residents will see. From a workflow point of view, they'll see it progress in phases. It starts off with seeing locate flags show up in the section that there's going to be construction activity getting started, usually a few weeks ahead of the construction. That's followed by some of our crews or our contractors doing layout markings. And not too long behind that, they'll start to see the large hydrovac trucks doing what's called daylighting, which is highlighting existing services. And once they see that, those large trucks, shortly behind that, they'll see the directional drills and the vibratory plows with the crews installing the conduit and pipe. Behind that will be crews pulling fiber optic cable. They'll see the large reels out in the field quite often. And then the construction crews start to get a little bit smaller after that and get into the fusion crews and the testing. And that's the point at which our customer service personnel and our sales team, our regional sales manager, Scott, will have his guys out communicating with the residents to let them know that they're a few weeks away from being able to have connectivity at their locations. And they'll make sure that they time it so that it's a few weeks in advance, that if there's service drops. We've noticed a number of the properties along these rural areas have some pretty long distances to get the services into their homes. So they will try and provide a little bit of time so that our crews can schedule those drop installations. They take significantly longer sometimes than your average urban home that may only have a front yard of 30 or 40 feet. So we will work with the homeowners to make sure we time that as efficiently as possible. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, there's a couple here in the chat. The first one, I think I may be able to answer for you if that's okay. The question is, will it include access to the corner of Highway 10 and 20th Side Road? And Grant, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe for the most part you are heading north-south down Mono Amaranth Town Line, and you're not going east-west along 20 Side Road. So that means there would not, this first stage of the project would not go to where Miss Bell is inquiring at 10 Highway and 20 Side Road.
Correct.
Okay.
And if where there are service inquiries, and we've run into this is our second SWIFT project. Our first one's just nearing completion now. Throughout the duration of that project, there were quite a few inquiries from properties that were close to and in the vicinity. And I think Carissa emailed me one question that had already come in. A gentleman whose property is, I think, about 100 meters away from the end of one of the fiber terminations. By all means, forward those through to our contact, to our salespeople. Scott, who's on the line, will always take that information back to our engineering team and take a look. And typically they won't just get an answer back that, no, you're not on the footprint. We will try and provide some information around any complexities that might be involved in reaching a particular area that's not within the planned build. I can tell you that we had some very strong success on our Wellington County project, where we expanded into a number of areas where there were residents, enough residents committing to the service that we were able to justify a number of small expansions, in some cases reaching as many 11 or 12 additional subscribers outside roads beyond the footprint. So by all means, send those inquiries in and we will respond to them.
Okay, thanks. There's another question here that's technically not something I'm going to handle. So the question is it not possible that 5G will be available a year from now, making physical infrastructure a waste?
We don't have enough time on this call to dive into the details on that, but I'd certainly be happy to just give from an overview. To understand 5G and to fully leverage 5G, it has to be married with extremely deep fiber penetration. The truest promises of 5G and the bandwidth that you can secure and the performance and the low latency is built around small cells. Those small cells sometimes are radiuses of 200 and 300 meters. And if you can imagine about efficient coverage with these small cells, they need fiber backhaul to handle the bandwidth capacity. And the only way you achieve that is with extremely deep fiber penetration. One of the critical aspects of the SWIFT initiative, and that what Southwestern Ontario has probably accomplished better than a number of other parts of Ontario, is the ability to push this fiber deeper into these rural communities, that they'll be extremely well positioned to leverage opportunities when 5G rolls out on a more massive scale.
Okay, thanks. We got a couple more questions here. Sean's, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. In the near future, will the average homes or heavy users requiring strong connections and bandwidths for their requirements be satisfied with the fiber optics that would be used?
One of the terms that you hear often used with fiber is the future-proof nature of fiber as the conduit for your connectivity. The only limitations in terms of current capacities lie in the electronics that the fiber is plugged into, either at the customer end, the CPE that Jeff was talking about during his presentation, or on the central office or core networks equipment. The big advantage of deploying fiber into these areas is the fact that you can scale up the capacity of these networks by simply upgrading your electronics. You can go from a 10 gigabit port to a 100 gigabit port and beyond. And these networks are designed, and certainly our interactions with SWIFT, they've been very robust in their review and evaluation of networks that are built that are properly scalable. So the short answer, that was the long answer. The short answer is you can continue to see your bandwidth growth and not have any concern about these fiber networks. They will grow ahead of you. As a telco, well, we want to encourage you to use it as much as possible because we have to justify building these things.
Okay, thanks. We've got a question. Rick from the Camilla subdivision was just wondering if you would be physically up their driveway for the installation.
No, typically, unless there's an obstruction during part of the process of getting the infrastructure through the road allowances, they use directional drilling or boring. And in this, and the access pits are in areas where they have, away from asphalt and paved areas and in landscaped areas, grass. And we do have crews that do the repair and landscaping work that follow behind our installation crews. But no, we typically don't dig up a driveway unless there's some kind of an obstruction that has to be solved. And in those situations, we communicate with the homeowner prior to any of that type of activity.
Okay, well, we still got 2 minutes. I'll wait a second to see if there's any more questions coming in, but I will just echo your comment previously that if anyone is near the end of where the map shows the project terminating, to get in touch with you. I know the Township of Amaranth was in contact with you because it's stopping about a kilometer from our office, and you provided a potential solution for that. So, and I know that Barry's experience in all these other project areas is that's not uncommon. So yeah, for anybody that's close, I would reach out to Grant. And I'm not seeing any more questions. Oh, one right at the last. Two. Okay, so any plans to extend north of 15 Side Road on second line?
I think I would defer to your question, to your point that you just made, Chris. We'd absolutely entertain those inquiries. And yes, the servicing the Amaranth offices is a great example of the process. Barry had forwarded that communication to us right when we were getting into our preliminary design, and we were able to come up with a solution that hopefully is going to get the service included right during our original construction. So we would take a look at it. I can't physically answer that without my engineering team beside me, but we would absolutely entertain that inquiry.
Okay, and final question for you is, you stated pricing will be similar to Bell, so would you be offering a 1.5 gigabyte per second at a competitive price as Bell, being the 130-ish?
So we do offer, at the 1.5 gigabit service level, we treat that as more of a custom request because we just haven't seen a significant amount of demand in that area. I can't comment to the specific cost, but we do find that our price structuring is equivalent with what's in the marketplace. Absolutely. And we monitor that carefully.
So Mr. Ruiz or anyone else that's curious can contact Scott, I guess would be the appropriate one to get in touch with, Scott or yourself on
Yes.
pricing?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, and Rick, I'm going to pass on your second question about Camilla. We'll get that answered offline, but I'm trying to stick to the schedule here. So thanks, Grant. I appreciate all that info, and I look forward to seeing stuff happening in Amaranth and the entire county. So now we're going to move on to Cogeco to discuss the Marsville-Orton project, and I'd like to welcome Michael Hennessy and Gabriel Beausejour. And I apologize if I said that incorrectly, Gabriel.
That's all right. Now, Gabriel's actually not on the line tonight. I have
Okay.
Graham Soley, and Mitchell Johnson. And if Grant, if I could get you to stop sharing so that I can start sharing, I'd appreciate that. Because I can't start sharing my screen until you stop. Thank you very much. So my name is Michael Hennessy. I work at Cogeco. I'm here with Graham Soley and Mitchell Johnson, two subject matter experts. We do nothing but apply to government agencies and to bring high-speed internet to rural homes. That is the sole job of the three of us, as well as other people on our team. So we are quite familiar with the struggles that take place in the rural homes, especially through the COVID. And we've experienced some of that in the call tonight. So I was going to share the some of the details of SWIFT, the details of our project, our proposed services, and some of the future funding programs that I think Barry touched on earlier. So this is really a recap of what Barry said, so I only spent a minute on it. That this is phase 3. There was 4.5 million available for funding, and that Cogeco was one of the 5 ISPs to win. Our residents, the residents that we're going to be building to is Marsville's, Orton, Price's Corner, and Craig's Home. I'll show you a map in a moment. Prior to the submission to the SWIFT bid, we did not have any footprint in the Dufferin County. So this is exciting for us to move in from the Wellington County. We had one business with SWIFT to bring services up to Simpson Corners. That allowed us then, once winning that SWIFT bid, to then venture into Dufferin. So you can see how these bids build on each other. So even though you've heard today about these 5 ISP wins, that's not the end of the game. As we move forward, we'll take what we've now built and continue to build on. And I actually want to say thank you to Jeff and Grant. You guys answered almost every question I'm going to probably face, and you did a great job. So I'm going to try not to repeat, except so that you hear fresh things. But everything they said about the directional boring, the pylons, the markings, the not disturbing your property, and if any disturbance takes place, it will be rectified. All those things apply to Cogeco as well. So those guys have already explained that, and I just like to say ditto with Cogeco. One of the things we are building to is to help public benefit, and in particular, we're building to the east. I'm going to have to kill myself with this one. Garafraxa. How do you pronounce that name?
Pretty good. Garafraxa.
Garafraxa, public school. So in that way, it's public benefit. So whenever we can build to a school, a library, a city hall, or any thing like that, community center, we always make sure we build to that. There will be 145 homes in this particular bid. As you can see, it's slightly smaller than what the last 2 presentations are, and will be completed by March 31st. Our construction time frame is next summer. And similar to what you heard from Bell and North Frontenac, prior to construction beginning, we'll have people go around and knock on all the doors and get approval so that we can bring fiber directly to the home. The question was already asked, but we don't bring, you don't need fiber in your home. If you, the Wi-Fi will work fantastic. If you happen to have a coax network, that will work great. But the Wi-Fi, modern Wi-Fi is spectacular. And as Jeff was saying, I mean, you can run everybody in the household on it. So as I say, we're expected to be completed on March 31st. Here is actually it's the SWIFT map. So if anybody has a question of where is this is going to cover, I'd highly recommend you go onto the SWIFT website. Down here in the corner is Craig's home. Up here is Price's Corner and Marsville, and down here is Orton. So currently that is our whole bit. But if you go onto the SWIFT website, you can actually type in your address and it'll tell you if you're not going to be connected. It is similar to what Grant said. If there's somebody not far off from where we're planning on building, please contact our customer service number that's on the screen or go to our website. And you can find out all the information you need from them, and they will take down information and bring it to our team, a team of Grant, Mitchell, and myself, to see if we can't make something happen. What I'm showing on the screen are the proposed pricing for strictly the internet, because that was really what we had to present to SWIFT. So this is internet alone pricing, very competitive. We don't go above 1 gig, similar to what Grant said. We don't really have a lot of people request that. I'm actually working on the 1 gig service right now. So Chris, my service won't drop tonight. I live in Oakville and I'm on the Cogeco network at 1 gig. So it's, I'm rather spoiled that way. But all of the people who get this service, similar to what was already said by Bell and North Frontenac, it'll be fiber to the home. It is absolutely gold plated. It's the best service you can get, even when they talk about low Earth orbit satellites like SpaceX, or they're talking about 5G. Nothing, and I've heard the National Research Council in Ottawa present last year, I believe it was to Roma, saying that there really is nothing better in this technology world than fiber. There's going to have to be wireless, and there's going to have to be low Earth orbit, and there'll be reasons for that in remote locations. But if you can get fiber, it makes a massive difference. So the pricing you see on the screen would go down if you bundled it with a phone and or TV. And so we will be able to offer all those services over fiber, and so the pricing for the internet would actually go down. Everything is on our website, cogeco.ca. It doesn't matter if you live in downtown Hamilton, downtown Windsor, or in Orton. The pricing for our services are the same, and they're on our website, and they're always very competitive. So we're dealing with SWIFT right now, but there's also other things coming along that could actually help expand not just Cogeco's, but everybody who's presenting today's networks. The CRTC, we submitted applications on June the 1st of 2020. They have over $750 million to send out. As of yet, we haven't had any feedback from the CRTC. The ISED rapid response was due on January 15th. Cogeco put 19 bids in for that. And then the Universal Broadband Fund is due on February 15th, and we're preparing over 50 bids for that. And the third one is the ICON, which was actually due tomorrow, and stage one, intake one, stage two. And we've already submitted 46 bids to that area there. So there's lots going on. If you don't make it in this iteration, don't think it's a one and done. There are lots of government programs and many iterations. And as I say, it's only because we won an earlier SWIFT bid that we were even able to bid on the Dufferin bid and therefore win it. So it's going to continue to grow and creep out as the years go on. And there was one question that was submitted prior to the presentation. And will there be tower to complement the fiber being installed to service those areas surrounding Marsville? How can those surrounding Marsville tap into this service? Cogeco is not in the wireless game at this point in time. So whether it is cellular, as Jeff was speaking about, or point-to-point solutions that are offered in the marketplace. Cogeco doesn't currently provide those services. But if any of those service providers would like to tap into our fiber to use it as a backbone to service the areas that are more rural, which I truly believe is going to have to be the case as time goes on, because fiber is just not economical to bring it everywhere. If a provider would like to tap into Cogeco's fiber, definitely we have the ability to do that. We have an open network in that we'll sell to third parties, and we will certainly wholesale services to a wireless provider if they request it. So although Cogeco won't do it, it's available in the marketplace if somebody else wants to. And that concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
Yeah, I've got one already from Sean. I just, as an aside, want to thank Sean for coming to this and to the last roundtable we hosted, because he asks lots of questions which make my job easier. So his comment or question is East Garifraxa, 2 thumbs up. Silly question, but is it possible to merge Cogeco fiber optic or any fiber optics with 5G in the future? And you say it would be the holy grail outing Starlink technology. So
okay,
I don't understand a lot of what I just
I do what
so
I know what he said, and I'm also going to touch on what Grant said, because Grant touched on this as well. So if you're going to go to 5G, you need fiber backbone. You cannot have 5G without fiber. It's like wireless in an office building. You need a ton of wiring to allow wireless to work, because you got to wire every one of those routers, and each floor probably has 10 of them, right? So it takes a lot of wire to make wireless work. It takes a lot of fiber to make 5G work. So they're complementary. They're really not fighting each other. If somebody who wants to, I'm just going to say, you know, that Jeff's company, Bell, says, we don't want to build out to Price's Corner, but we want to put 5G there. Bell could approach Cogeco and say, can we run our 5G? Can we wholesale some of your fiber so we can put up a cell tower? And of course, the communications companies do this all the time, back and forth. We buy stuff from Rogers, Rogers buy stuff from us, we buy stuff from Bell, Bell buy stuff from us. So that is possible. So the answer about 5G is you need fiber to make 5G, and somebody could lease our fiber to put cell phones, 5G towers up. And as I said, gold plated, you can't get better. And just like Grant said, it only matters to increase the speed of fiber, you just change the piece of equipment on each end. It's literally infinite, the amount of speed you put on fiber, because technology continues to increase. So that one gig along 10 years ago would have been very expensive. Now we're delivering it to everybody's houses. So these type of things go up exponentially, and it will always get better. Sorry, Scott, did I answer your question?
It was Sean. Yeah, I think.
Sean.
Well, he hasn't typed anything else, so he must be. Oh, he says yes.
Okay.
And he says thank you. So I thank you as well for the information. You finished pretty much right on time. So congratulations on that. So we're gonna move on to Rogers and the Garifraxa Woods project. So I'd like to welcome Jeff Rock, Chris Orlob, and the pride of Sixth Line of Amaranth, Kurt McIntosh.
Thank you, Chris.
Took my joke. I'm going to share my screen here. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. How's that? Can you see my screen? Is that a no?
Not yet.
Excuse me. How's that?
Perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we got it. Okay, good. Sorry for that. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. We're very happy to be here, and want to thank Dufferin County. Want to thank SWIFT and kudos to all our preceding presenters, because I think they have answered a lot of questions that we will face face. But yeah, I'm here to talk about Rogers and Garifraxa Woods, and I'll introduce you to our project team. Excuse me here. There it is. So my name is Jeff Rock. I'm the Director for Network Implementation for Rogers. I bring the pride of Dufferin County, the Earl of Amaranth, Kurt McIntosh. Kurt's our Network Construction Manager, and he'll be in charge of this project. Also joining us tonight is Chris Orlob. Chris is our manager for our sales team at Rogers, and he'll be connecting the residents of Garifraxa with Rogers services. So just a really quick project overview. This is where we are. We're specifically in the Garifraxa Woods subdivision, bordered by Town Line, A Line, and B Line. And we will be delivering, this is also a fiber to the home deployment. It's a very reliable internet service with very, very fast speeds, supporting future growth in the community. We've already started. We started this month in January in our survey phase, and we intend to wrap up in October of this year. We have some key activities or milestones, the survey phase, which you're in right now. We're going to move on to our detailed design, and then we'll have our permit submission and approval from the hydros in the municipality, and then we're going to move into the construction phase. As I mentioned, Kurt, the hometown boy, will be the prime contact for any residents' concerns. And with that, I will turn it over to Kurt, and he'll talk to you about how we bring Rogers services right to your door.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone for your time this evening. This slide outlines how we are going to bring the network connection to your home from the municipal right-of-way. Obviously, we would obtain written consent before entering private property, and work is scheduled. You have visibility to where we're proposing to place the drop and have input to the routing. There's no cost to you for this, and there's no obligation for you to take the service once the drop is in place. Any disturbances to your property will be brought back to the original condition, and any concerns about these restorations can be directed to me. Slide 5. So as Jeff mentioned, the timing of our activity has started with a survey ongoing, and will continue until we gather the information to satisfy our design. From there, our design would be submitted to the township for final approvals, and allowing us to continue with the proposed plan. At this point in time, my colleague Chris and his team would be doing some work in parallel to that. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Kurt, and thanks everyone for having me. Really excited to be involved with this project. So similar to the other projects, we're going to be doing some door-to-door campaigns. Obviously, we're going to be going in compliance with any current public health guidelines and the current situation at the time. But my team will be deployed. We'd be looking for written consent from the homeowners for any work to be done on their private property. We'd also have, along with those consent forms, another form where we can identify any areas that you want to note for the construction team, such as a large garden, any trees, any obstacles on the property you think that would be helpful to point out. We can do so at that time. Again, just to reiterate what Kurt mentioned already, there's no obligation to sign up to Rogers, and this consent is simply to allow the construction to take place on your property. And with that, back to you, Kurt.
Thank you, Chris. So once the permits are approved, we would start the locate process and continue with our proposed plan. Typically, our contractors would occupy 100 to 200 meters of boulevard space with 2 to 3 vehicles and equipment. This will move through the neighborhood as the construction progresses, and restoration will follow. Chris, back to you for the last bullet.
Thanks. So my team will also be involved with the order entry process when the time comes to connect your home to Rogers if you choose. They'll also be equipped with offers and discounts available specific to the Garifraxa community, and we'll be able to have a discussion with the products and services available at that time. We'll also have the SWIFT offer for 75 megabits per second. At $75 a month with unlimited usage, and we'll go all the way up to gigabit per second, similar to the other providers. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you, Chris. And here in this slide just gives you some examples of what you can expect to see on site. The directional drill support box truck vac truck to expose existing utilities. The photo on the bottom left is of a machine that would be used to stitch in some of the service drops. Depending on the length, they may directional drill these in. And the bottom right is an example of where your service drop would connect to the network out on the municipal right-of-way, which would be in a flush to grade type container, which is flush obviously with the ground. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Kurt. So just at a really high level, what does this mean for for those homes getting connected to Rogers? Obviously, fast, reliable internet. With everything in the current situation, I'm sure a lot of us are used to working from home and on these Zoom calls a little bit more regular than we have in the past. This would allow you to to have the ability to handle that extra strain on the home network, as well as we'll have packages available. To meet your needs, like I mentioned, we'll be starting at 75 megabits per second, going all the way up to a gigabit per second with unlimited usage and various packages in between. Well, that also pairs nicely with our Ignite TV package, which I'll ask Jeff to slide to the next slide. So very similar, like I said, pairs nicely with our home internet. Ignite TV, new TV service we launched fairly recently. Much smaller box, wireless box. We have a voice-controlled remote. All in one search. It brings your content, Netflix, YouTube, that sort of thing together on the platform, and the one search will allow you to do that all more seamlessly. So with that, I think that's pretty much it, Kirk.
Thank you. I guess we can open the floor to questions.
Yeah, I've got one question here already from Monica over in Garifraxa Woods area. She's referring to, well, first off, she says she's super excited because with homeschooling, she's currently operating at 0.82 to 1.1 megabytes per second. And she's referring to SWIFT app. There's a red circle cutting across the property, but does not include her home. Does that mean the home will be included? How do I confirm? So I'll handle the first part of that, Monica. The SWIFT mapping isn't a hard and fast line. That red area, just if you look at it, just sort of follows the roads. So the fact that a line goes across your property and may or may not include physically your home is doesn't mean you're not included. So as to how to confirm, I'll pass that over to the gentleman from Rogers so they can tell you how to confirm if service is available.
Yes, so maybe I'll just zip right back up to our map here. We're staying right within the Garifraxa Woods subdivision up here, and if you're within there, we will bring service to your home. If there's something specific, if you want to send your address, perhaps you could send it through Larissa or through Dufferin County. They can get me. I didn't put my email address on if that's okay.
Yeah, they can definitely send an email to myself or Carissa. I think she's probably fine with that, and we'll make sure it gets over to Rogers or whatever ISP is handling the project in your area. No questions currently.
I think everyone else answered
another minute. Oh, she was just asking for the email, so I will get Carissa will put my email in the chat window so everybody has it. Unless something else pops up in the next 10 seconds, I will thank you guys for attending. Oh, wait. Oh, I was just
Kurt, perhaps you could just put your email in the chat.
Sure, I could do that.
Yeah, well, you just send an email right to Kurt. He'll give you that. Sorry, we should have had that on our slide.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, there's one quick question from Sean regarding scalability. Gaming is expected to utilize an extreme data rates. Will you have ability? Sorry, he's asking if gaming with virtual reality is possible.
Take that, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not aware of any extra restraints that virtual reality would put on apart from, maybe on the device itself. But yeah, we should have no problem with that. I've used a couple different VR setups at various friends and family with Rogers, so should be no problem.
Shouldn't be a problem. And again, this is fiber right to your home, so it's going to be a fast service.
Okay, Sean, that last question about 300 gigabyte service, I'll leave that for you to contact Rogers directly on that, because we are at our time limit. So thanks guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris, for the great introduction.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll move along now to ATEL to discuss the Reddickville project. I'd like to introduce Antonius Peters, and thank you for being logged in this entire time. And I will pass it over to you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for Dufferin for hosting this meeting. We had the privilege to have a virtual meeting with Malmer, so I think that alleviated a lot of questions already. I guess I'll pull up a little bit of information if I get this right. There we go. Got to share a screen. Is that popping up?
I don't see nothing yet.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd cover a little bit who ATEL is. We're kind of unfamiliar, although we've been in the broadband industry for about 20 years. When we first started, we were exclusively wireless. This is before in 2020 when DSL wasn't very popular. And I still remember paying $3,000 for 1.5 meg for an upstream connection to divvy among a whole bunch of people. So things have really changed. Now we're delivering gigabit speeds, which is quite exciting. So we're a local company. We're quite small. We were incorporated in 2010. We are strictly focused on rural broadband. Our traditional delivery mechanism has been wireless. We have over 2,500 wireless subscribers. And in 2017, we started launching fiber to the home projects. So we currently have about 20 million committed into rural broadband. We're first in connecting SWIFT subscribers in Wellington County, and that project has been completed. So we're quite proud of that, and we hope to do some more good things. So the Mulmer project is and Melanchthon is going to cover about 682 premises. There's about 76 kilometers of fiber routes. The entire plant is designed to expand. There's something like 190 POIs that other wireless providers, other services can interconnect, and we can expand lines in the future to increase capacity to more of the community. We anticipate services will be able to start in October of 2021. I suspect we're not going to get everybody, although the plant will be ready, but once the winter hits, our trenching abilities are going to be limited. We do plow all the cable on the ground, and it depends much in a year. This year we're fortunate. We're still plowing in services in January, which is kind of unheard of. This shot here is from the SWIFT website. Awesome website, Barry. I think it's very clear, very informative, intuitive, and we refer people to it a lot. On the ATEL website, we have a map that covers the Mulmer area. If you cover on the network map, it'll pop up the actual map of where we're going, all the roads. We will also post updates as we get closer to the timelines when services can expect it to be lit up, as well as where construction is happening, just to kind of keep everybody apprised of where we're at. One of the big differences that we're probably going to face in this area is it's a challenging area. the Niagara Escarpment. There's lots of hills, and we've got laneways or homes with laneways that are over 1 kilometer long. So what we've done is the first 200 meters are free, and after that there's a $1 surcharge to bring the fiber into the long laneways. Otherwise, the average would have to absorb a lot of that cost. So we think it's fair and reasonable, and that was kind of our solution to deal with I think there's something like 150 kilometers of drop fiber that we have to install for all the homes, so it's quite significant. As Grant and everybody kind of commented on there, just because you're not served right now doesn't mean that's the end of it. There's more opportunities coming through the UBF, SWIFT 2.0. I'm looking forward to that, Barry. And whatever else there's going to be organic funding. Also, we're going to be looking at extending services temporarily with wire solutions. We're pretty strong in the wireless background, and having a tower fed by fiber really enables us to bring better wireless to a community. We would approach it very similar to small cells like G5 would be, but it's an alternative to get more people connected faster. And we look at it as a temporary solution, but it might speed things up. I'll go back to this. So here with me is Wendy. She's our sales manager. She's also my wife, so that kind of keeps me in place. And we kind of both enjoy not only running the business, but serving the rural communities. It's something we take a lot of pride in. And that's about all I have to say. So I'm not going to carry on more than that. And if you have any questions,
there's some popping up now in the chat. So right now we've got one that said it was mentioned earlier to contact the provider to see if it would be available to homes close to the service area. How close is close? Our home is on a side road south of County Road 21, 750 meters from the highway. I assume that would be more a phase 2 possibility.
We have to look at that at each individual's scenario. And again, like North Frontenac and Grant said, and Rogers and Cogeco, let us know where you are. We are actually mapping everybody out that's outside of the current service area and tracking those residences. So especially when there's a cluster, we may extend some of them our own. And we've already got the design in for the Universal Broadband Fund to connect just about I'd say about 90% a moment. So it's not, by all means, let us know. Again, like Barry reflected, write us a letter and get the government aware that, that there's more spending that needs to be done in order to get everybody connected with ultimately fiber, but it's one of the technologies that we can use. So absolutely call in. I think I have a contact page that I should have put up.
We've got another question here. Is this going through Hornings Mills?
Yes, the entire village of Hornings Mills will be served.
Great. Another one. Hello from Caledon. Would it be possible to start the project earlier than October 2021? The premise of assumption is that residents of Mulmer and Melanchthon are highly in favor of these future infrastructure services for high-speed connectivity. Times ahead, thank you.
Sorry, what was the question?
I guess he wants to know if you can do better than October 2021, I guess is the crux of his question for your project. I think that.
We certainly hope so. We've put this, we don't want to promise a date and then be really late. We know we have to deal with the Niagara's escarpment. We know that they're going to be more demanding than your regular permits. So there's some challenges in permits, and if they come in earlier than we expect, we will anticipate we may even start rolling in construction in June, July.
Yeah,
Can
and
I,
I guess to
Can
your
I just
point,
start in for a
there
second?
are.
Chris?
Go ahead.
I think there was a bit of a misnomer. When Antonius mentioned the start of the project being October 21, I think he was talking about the start of the lighting of the fiber, not the project itself. I think their projected completion date is December of this year coming. So unless there's an error in the presentation, I think they're getting ready to start now. They're not starting the beginning of the project in October.
The design has been fully completed, so we're ready to go. We're basically waiting on permits as the next phase. We may get started this summer if the permits come in and they're all ready to go. But yes, you're correct. We are going to light up customers or enable the services in October, and we're targeting to have the entire project construction part completed by December 31st.
Yeah, I think that's the point everybody needs to be aware. And I know Barry's seen that. We've seen this in other areas, is that there's conservation authorities and some of the other approval agencies. They have a process to approve these permits to complete the work, and sometimes they don't work on the same schedule that SWIFT or the providers would prefer. So ATEL and all of the providers to some degree are at the mercy at some point of an approval agency. So don't see any more questions popping up. I'll just mention now, everybody's mentioned our MP and MPP, and our last roundtable discussion, MP Kyle Seaback, and I believe somebody from Sylvia Jones's office were on the call, and I know they're aware of the project. They're very supportive of rural broadband. So I know that if you were to contact them, they would be more than willing to help. If we don't have any other specific questions, there may be a couple more that I can turn to. Barry, some of these might be for you. I'm gonna list here. I guess that one is I live between Marsville and Orangeville on a farm. What is the solution to serve those that are further away from towns and villages? And how can this program provide solutions for those that are truly rural? Barry, do you want to take that, or do you want to?
No problem. I can take that. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to solve about 22% of the problem with the SWIFT 1.0 program. There are other funding mechanisms in place that we talked about, and hopefully those will pick up some of those areas. SWIFT currently has a proposal in front of the province and the federal governments to increase the current level of service in all of southwestern Ontario from about the current 90% to 95% through the SWIFT 2.0 program. We would hope to get a lot of the underserved areas, the remaining underserved areas resolved with that program. And the current SWIFT program has spent its budget in Dufferin County, though, so we would look to other funding programs to help continue to solve the problem.
Okay, thanks. I've got a question that was actually submitted to me by somebody here in Waldemar, Margaret Vandenhoek, who couldn't participate because her current internet would cost too much, because she would be she would be over the max, and the library currently is closed, so she couldn't log in that way. So she's very interested in getting solutions for the rural areas. She just wanted clarification on the project overall. She says it states that 1,663 premises will be passed within the 5 municipalities. And she just wanted to clarify that only that many households would be provided with high speed. And I think we've touched on this. I did tell her I would make sure the question was asked, so that's why I'm asking it. But Barry, I think it goes to your last point about the 22%, and it's a start.
Yeah, so that is the correct number, Chris, and that does represent about 22% of the underserved population remaining in Dufferin County.
Okay. I don't have a lot of other questions. I think a lot have been covered. If anyone thinks of any questions that they would like answered about the SWIFT project overall, feel free to contact me at any time for my County of Dufferin email, and I'll do my best to answer and defer to Barry on anything more technical. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming, and the service providers for taking the time to be here and present. I don't know what the county has planning wise for future events, but I think this was very helpful, and hopefully we can do it again. I know that there were some people that I referred to late today that were not able to register because it was sort of last minute. So I think that there's definitely interest out there in further discussions.
Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, I was just going to say that this session has been recorded, and we will be posting it up on the Dufferin County YouTube channel. So if anyone here knows of anyone that might be interested in catching this after the fact, I have been referring people to the Dufferin County YouTube channel. I don't want to speak on behalf of IT, but I'm hoping that will be up as early as tomorrow. So I've been referring people there as well. And any additional questions can certainly be sent to me as well, and I can make sure that they get to the right person.
Okay. Again, I'll just do a last call for questions if anybody wants to type in a question into the chat. And I'll thank everybody. Aaron, did you have any closing remarks you'd like to make?
I'll just reiterate what SWIFT and the Western Wardens are currently doing to try to add on to the successes we've had with SWIFT. Even next week, I think it is, we have the annual general meeting of the Western Wardens Caucus. We've invited to a session directly after that every MP and every MPP for ridings within all of southwestern Ontario, within the catchment area of SWIFT project in general. Because some of us on the executive of that organization believe that there's an awful lot of people who, when you talk to them one-on-one, they will say, well, what you really need to do is talk to this person, and then they'll push you on to somebody else. So if we have all those people in the same room, it's a little less likely that we can be pushed off, and we can maybe get a little bit closer to some of the answers. But pre-pandemic, as SWIFT was really picking up steam, it was becoming, I think, Barry, it's fair to say, it was becoming ever more obvious that both upper levels of government were really starting to get it about the need for rural broadband, about how important it is and how important the economies and the residents of rural Ontario are to the bigger picture. And the pandemic only heightened that. Now they really get it. And now there is an urgency behind it. And they want to be seen to be doing everything they can. And in my role as the vice chair of the Western Wardens and the warden of the county and the mayor of Millington, I am happy to take full advantage of their desperation to get dollars out the door and make sure we can build on the successes we've had. So with that, I'll leave you with that. And just to say, I am super excited about what's about to happen here in Dufferin County. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. And again, thanks everybody. And yes, it'll be very exciting to see that first connection made and live. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. And
Perfect. And thanks to you, Councillor Garretts, for chairing this. We really appreciate it.
oh, no problem. Thanks. Well, I guess that's it. We'll say goodbye and everybody have a good night.
Thank you very much.